Namaste, everybody. Welcome back to your favorite show with your favorite bro. We are back. A doom and gloom Sunday, to say the least, for now, but the games are sure to bring the boom. In this one, Quick Take, Season 3, Episode 4B. It's going to be a very, very, very interesting matchups all across the board. Sunday Slate with the 13 games, one divisional, seven interconference matchups, with a 29-20 record after Thursday Night Football. We keep it moving. Starting off in the game that I do believe probably already ended. I did not watch it, so I do still have my pick for it. I'm rocking with the Vikings in the game going on. Just finished up out there in Ireland, Dublin, to say the specifics. I think Croke Stadium, if I'm to be even more specific. Record numbers. It's Steelers home game. But I think I'm gonna rock out with the Vikings. I f- you know what? Now I'm flipping on this. Am I? No, I'll stick with the Vikings. I still do have questions with the Steelers secondary. Their defense has not shown up to be the highest ranked, highest paid defense so far. Um, the offensive line still has questions around. Uh, DK Metcalf, I don't think has had like a breakout game as a Steeler so far. There's a lot more questions that still surrounds them than there are answers. So it should be very intriguing to see what happens there. Yeah, I think Vikings take this. I know Christian Darrisaw is returning while losing your left guard. I think you would more often than not, I think, be down to lose your left guard than your left tackle. Not just your left tackle, your highly prized, all pro, all paid left tackle. And he returns from this game. I think that solidifies the run game, the trenches a little bit more. That opens up, that gives more time for Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson on the rest of the crew to spread across. And slowly but surely, Jordan Addison should be coming up. So the energy should still be there. The camaraderie, I think, is already there. That's something that um, for the Vikings, that has not been mentioned. B-Flow against Mike Tomlin, not just as black men, but as brilliant defensive minds, is a very good matchup to see, especially if you're a defensive minded person like myself. And that's where we are with that one. Keeping it moving. The massacre that is in the Big Apple for Jackson Dart in the Chargers hosting or visiting the New York Giants. Like I mentioned, I'm sorry, Jackson Dart. I don't know why you are being fed to the Wolves. Makes sense that it is at home, but I still don't think you do that against the Chargers. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like they panicked a little too early. I mean, it only took 4 weeks for them to switch over from rest. I feel like that's, like I mentioned, probably a franchise malpractice because now you have over 12 games that you're going to put on tape from him until next season. If Brian Daboll's, it's not even a question. When Brian Daboll's fired, it's kind of ruined it for the next coach. He might give up some. I just don't think this was the right decision. I think they just rushed it. And on the opposite side, Herbert's playing like everything's working in slow mo, and he's trying to go after the MVP. And the camaraderie I mentioned for the Vikings. Chargers have a lot more camaraderie. Who's better than them? Supposedly nobody. And I mean, they are undefeated so far, 3-0 in the division. Can I question them? Unfortunately not. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. But for the rest of the regular season, they might be the front runners. We'll see what happens. But I think this one, like I mentioned, a massacre in the Big Apple for Jackson Dart. We'll see. It might be a surprise shock or a sack fest for the Chargers. Keeping it moving in the only divisional matchup this week. Titans at the Texans, 2-0-3 teams. Rocking with the Texans. Why do I say that? Because I still have trust in CJ Stroud more than a lot more people. Why do I say that? Because when he came in, he had Bobby Slowick. Who has he had offensive minded wise since then? Who can he talk to? His prize left tackle, you took it away and you traded him to Houston to give it to Jaden Daniels, right? Stephon Diggs left. Tank Dell's on. Do we have table somewhere? Respectfully, right? Nico Collins just came back. What do you really have to work with? The offensive line that doesn't not work. Weapons that are depleted. Offensive coordinator leaves a lot more to be desired. There's a lot more questions offensively for the Texans. Um, Defensively, they're the inverse. They have two premium pass rushers, both are top 12 if I'm not mistaken. Two, I mean, almost premium corners. One you already paid in Derek Stingley, another one in Kamara Lassiter, who's probably going to want that type of money coming up in the future, which is a great thing for you, but you need to be able to capitalize on it. Talk about capitalizing Jalen Peters, same thing. Um, Losing out on the veteran safety next to him in CJ or Jimmy Ward, that might be a little, yeah, but I think Texans as a whole, especially at, home, I think they have to win this one to kind of right their season, to kind of right this regime. I think this is going to start kind of unraveling a lot of things if they lose this divisional matchup. We keep it moving. Washington at Atlanta. No Jaden Daniels. No problem last week. But this one, no Scary Terry as well, and that's a problem. I am rocking out with the Falcons in this one. I think Michael Penix is going to bounce back in this game. It was just an abnormal game last time around. A divisional game, so they study you even harder than the other opponents. They play you twice, so they see tendencies and everything else a lot better and a lot clearer than a lot the teams that are only studying you for like a few days. Um, yeah, I think it really comes down to that. Falcons, I think, especially being at home, should win. I think the Falcons, they're low key underrated. They have an offensive line. Losing a piece in the offensive line, I do believe it was Caleb McGarry at right tackle. That sucks. But they still have Jake Matthews. They still have Matthew Bergeron. Um, they have a couple other pieces. They still have Bijan and Tyler Algier, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, who needs to show up. But yeah, rocking with the Falcons in this one. Moving on. Another team in the NFC South, but this time they will be taking a team from the AFC East. It's the Saints taking on the Bills. Rocking out with the Bills. I think it's really that simple. Saints don't have a hope. I just hope, personally, Saints do my boys right. I think Cam Jordan, I understand your loyalty, but is that really worth it? You already should have a statue outside with Drew Brees, hand in hand, both of you guys, arm in arm, whatever. But yeah, I think it might be time to move on. I want to see you in the Super Bowl. I want to see you on a good team again. Bro, you only live once. I get your loyalty, but you only live once. Same thing, Alvin Kamara. I think there's already been links with Kansas City Chiefs. That's not where I do want to see you, but I do want to see you succeed somewhere else. Maybe not in the AFC at all, but we'll see. Yeah, just do those boys right. Just do right by them. Come on. Moving on. 3-0 versus 3-0. One's gotta go. Eagles at the Bucks. I think I gotta roll with the Bucks. I think home field advantage that kind of leans towards the Bucks, and just the Bucks against the Eagles in the recent years. You kind of go back to Jason Kelsey's last year, the pressure that they were able to put on Jalen Hurts, especially down the middle. I do think they still had Carlton Davis at that point. Maybe I'm mistaken, but if they did not, Jamel Dean's been there as a cornerback. Antoine Winfield in the backfield. You still have Lavonte David, a future Hall of Famer, in the middle. You have Vita Vea holding down the trenches. I do believe they signed, or they signed Desmond. Dang, I forget his name currently, but our little homie from Florida, who they just Desmond Watson, if I'm not mistaken. A little homie from Florida who is over 400 pounds now. I do believe he's down to 360, 380. Just that massive size, stopping the tush push, controlling the line of scrimmage, and keeping an eye on Saquon Barkley. I think that kind of evens it out. Wide receiver cores on both sides, phenomenal. Even without Mike Evans, the return of Chris Godwin, Emeka Ibuka, Sterling Shepard, going up against AJ Brown, uh, Devontae, John Mechie, and the whole crew. Like I think it's going to be a very, very, very fun matchup offensively. I think both teams score over 20 points easily, hopefully. But the slight, lean that I do go towards the Bucks is I think Eagles secondary is still vulnerable. Baker has had his game-winning drives throughout the season. They're rolling. They're just rocking and rolling, and I think they continue that at their home. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Saints at the Bills. We already mentioned that. Browns at the Lions is the next one. I apologize. I read it wrong. Browns at the Lions. This is not your brother's Browns. This is brand new Browns. We already saw what they did against the Packers at home. They are not an easy team. They are actually one of the better, if not the best, defenses in the NFL. Jim Schwartz doing their thing. But it is the opposite side of the ball in the offense, which, I mean, pretty much all those defensive players know about. Yeah, at home I gotta lean the brand new Lions. They already showed last week against the Baltimore Ravens. It's the brand new Lion. They're sticking with that. Like I mentioned, if you could dominate Baltimore in the trenches, especially in Baltimore, run the rock like that, I don't think almost any team stops you. But this one's gonna be hard on the Brownies. Kind of that central north-ish um, little area-ish rivalry, I guess you could kind of say, if they do exist. Cleveland fans should travel out there, but it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that Lions offense comes out against another defense, because this might be their passing test. If our former Raider Johnny Mo is legit, which this game will probably like tick that box for him, it's gonna showcase him and his ability to kind of take care of every portion of the field, because they're gonna have to against the Brownies. Keeping it moving, Panthers at the Patriots. Talk about defense. Mike Vrabel, defensive minded head coach, against the offensive minded head coach and Dave Canales in Carolina. They have a little bit of momentum, shutting down the divisional opponent in Atlanta, 30-0. But I think in this one, Patriots at home, they got to win this. Run game still kind of questionable. Ramondre Stevenson's getting trusted, but I think it's kind of time that you start phasing him out, unfortunately, and then you start inserting and emphasizing on Travion Henderson a lot more. You got him for a reason, especially in the second round, not just as a kick returner. And yeah, I think the Stephon Diggs fit still kind of is questionable for me. I think if by around trade deadline they look like they're outside looking in, maybe you trade him just to get whatever. Like I think he just that energy is not right currently for them. Yeah, I think Drake May has a phenomenal future. Bryce Young's still in the limbo. Yeah, I think run game kind of comes out on top. Let's keep it moving. This game's not going to be that big of a excitement boost for us. Keeping it moving. Jaguars at the Niners. Not talking about an excitement boost. This one's going to be a very, very intriguing matchup. Because, like I mentioned with the Browns, this is not your father's Browns. This is not your brother's Browns. This is not your brother's Jaguars. This is not your father's Jaguars. This is brand new Jaguars under Liam Cohen, under Stoner, under Mr. Forever. And they want to go forever. But it starts out with Brian Thomas coming back to being himself that he was last season. I don't know if it's the Shane Waldron conundrum with JSN and Roma Dooms are already suffering, and it might be Brian Thomas's time now. Whatever the case may be, they need to come back. Trenches, they have gotten solidified. Obviously, O line's one of the better ones, top 10 I think for sure, if not top five. Defensive trenches wise, I think the front seven they're solidified, but in the back end there can be some vulnerabilities that could be exploited. It's going to be interesting to see. There's Ricky Pearsall. There is Kendrick Bourne. There is Christian McCaffrey and all those guys on one side. There is Travis Hunter. Like I mentioned, Brian Thomas. There's Trevor Travis Etienne, Travis Etienne, and Bigsby in the back. So it should be interesting to see who's going to be able to. I think it gets down to who runs the ball, who controls the clock, and which offense stays off the field a lot longer. I think whichever offense has more possessions, I think they could probably come out on top, which after getting their kicker, but unfortunately losing Nick Bosa, could be the Niners. Next one up, sticking the West Coast, sticking in Cali. We go down to the City of Angels, down in LA, down to SoFi, and it is the Colts that are 3-0, taking the Rams that are 2-1. The one was a last second blocked field goal against the other 3-0 team in the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're extremely bitter that defensive trench is going to be hunting. Yeah, I think Colts have to come out of LA with a loss. This is your team. This is your UB boo. But I think in Rams house, they take it. Sean McVay against Lou Anarumo. That's a very intriguing matchup. The defense has played phenomenally for Colts, even though offense has gotten all the plaudits. Adding two veteran corners in Mooney Ward in Xavier Howard, I think people are just sleeping on that duo. It's their first year. They're only 4 games in. You don't want to like crown them anything, but you gotta give them the respect of how they are performing this year, which is as a top 10 duo, top 8 duo, maybe a top 5 duo. As a duo, they are up there. You do still have Cam Bynum, new energy in the back end. You still do have Zaire Franklin at linebacker. You still do have a questionable, I do believe, but DeForest Buckner still there holding it down in the trenches. So you have defensive pieces. You have a coordinator who could, put your pieces in different pieces places. Kenny Moore, I do believe, is hurt in this game, but you still have him in the slot as well. So now, when I think about it, you actually have a really good defense. Offensive line wise, you already had a vocal leader in Quentin Nelson. You had your left tackle kind of figured out. Now the rest of the line's gelling as well. They're into it with Dan Jones kind of running the orchestra, and you have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield. This one, Alec Pierce is hurt, but I think that kind of plays a factor. However, you do still have Tyler Warren as well. On the opposite side, you do have Matthew Stafford, you do have Devontae Adams, you do have Puka Nakua, and you do have Kyron Williams. So, with the experience of the quarterback on the other side, gotta roll out with Stafford. Like I mentioned, the experience factor matters, toughness matters, and while Rams are like the California team from the LA team, woo woo, they are actually still a very tough team. And I think in this one, their toughness has to show out. I think it might be a close one, kind of going back to their matchup early in the season against Houston Texans. It was a close one. It was a very, very close one, but they came out on top in that one. Against the Eagles, unfortunately, they did not, but they were in position to win. They unfortunately lost. This one, I think they have to take out their anger and kind of, let's bring the Colts kind of back to reality too. Because if this goes to 4-0, boy, oh boy, on Overreaction Monday, Pat sending the boys to the Super Bowl right now. Like on the way there, he's going to be talking, hey, I'm on the way to the Super Bowl with the Colts. Like it's going to be that type of conversations. Um, Another intriguing prospect that I did get to see. Will it happen? Possibly, because Jerry Jones just traded Michael Parsons to Dallas Cowboys in conference. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities. But how about Trey Hendrickson down there in Indy? Give him a 2-3 year deal. Why do I say that? Because, like I mentioned, you do have somebody on the interior in DeForest Buckner. I do believe Grover Stewart's still there, but you don't have like a premium pass rusher. You have Latu Latu. I think that actually helps him out. 97, 91, 2 bookends, like how the Texans are set up and how you guys were back in the day with Robert Mathis on one side, Dwight Freeney on the other side, meet you at the quarterback. Same thing. You're gonna have Latu on one side. You're gonna have Trey Hendrickson meet you at the quarterback. And why do I mention that for him there? Lou Anarumo, I do think he has a lot of respect for his former defensive coordinator. Just gotta, find your itch. If you're 7-2, 6-1, why the hell would you not pull a first round pick from next year and throw it in for Trey Hendrickson right now? Because this year you guys could win the Super Bowl. Why not? Barring help, like why not? Until somebody stops you, why not? Everybody has a chance for now. Nobody's eliminated. Unless you are some teams. But we keep it moving. Ravens at the Kansas City Chiefs. The people's main event, arguably. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, one more time. I am still a hater. I still don't have trust in the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, they beat the Giants at home. I think it was 26-7, 21-7, whatever the case might be. They did not look that great in that game either. Why? Because their trenches are not the same that they were. And against the Ravens, they literally just got demolished, destroyed, anything and everything you want to say as a synonym for that. At home, I think there's no other way to kind of flush all of that out other than going into. I mean, there are definitely rivals, a rival's house, stomping on them and taking their lunch money. And I think that's what Baltimore's going to have to do. They're going to have to go back, find themselves to be the bully. But this one, I might be, you know, regretting the words because no Nandi Matabike in the middle. That Chris Jones on the opposite side, and you don't have your best defensive tackle. Does not sit well with me. Kyle Van Noy, it kind of seems like you have masked a lot of inadequacies for the Baltimore pass rush because where is it? Well, still did not find it. Mike Green, rookie, cool. But Daphne Owe, David Ajabo, there are other guys there that should be, or it should have already been taking their next step, getting up to 10 sacks, building up to 15 sacks. But hello, like you guys are not even around. All right, that's where we're at. Keeping it moving. I think it gets back down to Derrick Henry running the rock. The lack of running game, you could argue for the Chiefs. That's why they are getting linked to Alvin Kamara to help out their run game as well. Why does their run game suffer? Going back to it, trenches. Juwan Taylor gets flagged at least twice a game. Going back to the pass rush, if that pass rush kind of starts out early, just puts the doubt in his head, I think that kind of helps you out with some flags there on your own. They start, like hurting themselves. I don't think you're gonna need to do too much to beat them. It's gonna be loud. It's Kansas City. Like I said, it's a rivalry game to a sense. But I'll still stick with the Ravens. Uh, like I mentioned, the Baltimore Bullies are gonna have to step up. We'll see what happens. This might define the season for one or both teams, as both teams are shockingly at 1-2. But yeah, one has to come out on top. One last thing I do want to mention: it is going to be absolutely phenomenal to watch Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton lined up with against Travis Kelsey. Just maybe future Hall of Famers on the Baltimore end, but definite future Hall of Famer on the Kansas City end. It's gonna be interesting. One last little nugget to a D Hop revenge game. He's been there in the Kansas City building last year. He knows the offense. It's not the same offense, but he knows like the tendencies. He knows what they like to do, what they don't. All of that. Could they help him out? Could they give him the looks? Have they given him the looks in practice this week? Interesting. Something to keep an eye on. Keep it moving now. This is not the people's main event or semi main event. This is my semi main event. It is the Chicago Bears taking on the Las Vegas Raiders at home. this one, I'm rocking with the Raiders. As you can tell, I am unconvinced. I do not believe it. But this might also be the last time I pick them. So, gotta stay delusional. Why do I say that? Because last week, I, even in my wildest dreams, could not have fathomed what happened. Let's just try to flush that. It's already done. It's already out of the way. It's a history for a reason. We don't need to keep back and, prodding it. Yeah, I think Raiders, for their season to be anything, for the fans to have any hope, you just can't look lifeless. Offensive line just show any life. Like, hey, we're alive. Like, we're not just some dead body standing in front of Ashton Genty. Just there's so much hurt, anger, um, disappointment, and all that stuff, and it just adds every week. Um, yeah, it's gonna be hard to see Dennis Allen come back to Vegas and win this and take revenge on the Raiders, especially after Dan Quinn just did it to coach compete. I don't know how I would handle that. But something that definitely does need to be handled is the wide receiver core for the Chicago Bears. I don't think we have faced anybody, maybe outside of the Chargers, with a wide receiver core like this. You have DJ Moore, who could probably do everything. You have a tall wide receiver in Roma Dunze. Now you have a speedster in Luther Burden. I don't know if Colston Loveland's playing. He was questionable. But even if he does not, you still have Cole Kmet. So the offense, if Caleb can just not go crazy, uh, I think they have pieces that they can not just win, they can destroy us. Max Crosby, I think he has gotten leaner. He has not been as effective as there's literally no help and he gets triple teamed. Adam Butler, he's there. But outside of that, I mean, Coons, we gave you 11.5 mil. You don't even exist. That's why I kept on bringing up propositions of maybe I don't think I brought up Trey Hendrickson, but I think I might have brought up Michael Parsons and some other pass rushers that where we send Coons and a second or a third, whatever the case may be, to help out Max. Because going back to Texans, going back to Colts, two bookends is a lot better than one. We kind of did try to help out with Christian Wilkins, but free agents and Raiders, I guess it's just never meant to work. Yeah, I just don't know how I will survive after loss if it is to come through, which we don't. But you know what? The main event's here. Sunday Night Football's here, and let's get cracking with it. Packers at the Cowboys, the Micah Parsons Bowl. Obviously, we're rocking with the Packers in this one. Definitely not the Cowboys. Yeah, Packers have had the Cowboys number. It doesn't matter if it's in Jerry World. Packers actually, I do feel like have a little bit of a dome syndrome as well. They play better in domes. If you want to look at revisionist history, not too distant future, Aaron Rodgers outside the pocket, throw deep, Jared Cook sideline, Mason Crosby game-winning field goal, and the Green Bay Packers win it. Stuff like that has always happened in Jerry's world against Jerry's teams, and in this one, I think it goes more the same. Losing out on your rookie first round guard does not help against a defensive trenches that just got handled in a sense against Cleveland. Micah's energy of playing Dallas is going to permeate throughout the locker room. It's not just him, by the way. There are guys with the likes of Devontae Wyatt, Luke Van Ness, who have stepped up. Even Rashawn Gary's, now getting into the quarterback because of the Micah's thing. The secondary looks a lot better than they probably are, to be honest. Xavier making a lot of respect for. The rest of the crew, I think they're kind of getting, shined because of the trenches. Defense, defenses being a little bit early in the season. So we'll see what happens there. The wide receiver core for the Green Bay Packers against the cornerbacks out in Dallas. That should be intriguing as the way that Chicago just destroyed demolished, whatever synonym you want to add there again. And yeah, it should be interesting to see how they come out, but it's going to be very, very rough night for Dak. Micah wins. We keep it moving. I'm going to see y'all next time. Keep it pushing. Love.